Good evening. Here's the news at 9. First, the highlights. Governor Sanwo-Olu attributes increase of Lagos State's gross domestic products to efficient economic policies. Federal government activates flood control measures, urges states to be proactive. On the foreign scene, United States Central Bank goes big with interest rate cuts in 4 years. And in sports, Nigeria's Flying Eagles defeat Water FC 1-0 in first friendly ahead 2024 WAFU B Under-20 tournaments. Now the details. I am John Omoaka. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says Lagos State's gross domestic product (GDP) under his administration has greatly increased in the last 5 years due to well thought out ideas and economic policies to enhance the well-being of residents. Governor Sanwo-Olu stated this when the president and chairman in council of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria (CIBN) Pius Olariwaju led other members of the council to pay him a courtesy visit at the Lagos House, Ikeja. The governor also pledged his administration's commitments to continue to create an economy where businesses will thrive, cost of governance bearable, and prosperity in a safe and inclusive environment.
I want to assure you an institute that will continue to represent you well, and also Lagosians that have asked us to run the government at this point in time. So for us, that has given us a self-start to challenge ourselves, to ensure that we leave indelible mark, whilst ensuring that we do projects, programs, and activity that are people-centric.
Earlier, the president and chairman in council of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, Pius Olariwaju, commended the governor and his team for notable achievements and initiatives which have impacted positively on the lives of residents in line with the Themes Plus developmental agenda, which encompasses social inclusion, gender equality, and youth empowerment. Olariwaju, who highlighted some of the programs in corporate social responsibility initiatives of the CIBN, hinted of plans to tackle the Japa syndrome in the banking sector with the establishment of a state-of-the-art academy to train new personnel within a short period of time and render quality services to the people, and as well uphold the ethics and professionalism of the sector.
We are also aware of your Dakande Leadership Academy, and we saw some of them when we paid a visit to some of your ministry, and Nigeria knew no ban because you have been futuristic and believing that tomorrow, if we cannot even prepare the future for the youth, we should be able to prepare the youth for the future. We also realize your effort in the area of LASODA, the Lagos Office of Disability Affairs. That is a height of inclusiveness.
Our correspondent, Adiola Kindele, reports that Governor Sanwo-Olu was announced as being endorsed as one of the fellows of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, alongside the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun. In the same vein, the Lagos State government has pledged to collaborate with the Chartered Institute of Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ISAN, to ensure corporate governance and administration in the country. Governor Sanwo-Olu stated this when the president and chairman in council of ICSAN, Fumi Ekundayo, led other members of the institute to pay him a courtesy visit at the Lagos House, Ikeja. According to him, Lagos will continue to be an acceptable home to all, just as the state government will create more platforms and opportunities for people to grow.
You shouldn't give up. The institute must continue to be relevant. The institute must continue to have a pride of place and, stand up, be counted well, and be definitive, in your professional calling, and just ensure that you keep with the tenets and the vision that brought about, the institute itself.
Earlier, the president and chairman in Council of ICSAN, Fumi Ekundayo, commended Governor Sanwo-Olu for his administration's developmental strides achieved through the Themes Plus agenda and sought government's collaborations and capacity building for the state's workforce, support for corporate governance, and enhancing capabilities.
We know that the value that ICSAN brings to the table is enormous because of the very strategic role that our members play within every value chain, within every ecosystem.
Ekundayo advocated building the right corporate governance structure both in the private and public sectors across the country. In a bid to explore and showcase the tourism potential of Lagos to the global world, the state government has partnered the federal government and a new generation bank to revive activities in monuments across the country, across the state. Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Toke Benson Awoyinka, tweeted this during a tour of some monuments on Lagos Island. Some of the monuments inspected include Onikon House, Freedom Park, National Museum, J. Randall Center for Yoruba and Culture. Mrs. Benson Awinka noted the government alone cannot handle the vast investment and exploration of the tourist sites in the state, maintaining that the cultural heritage of Lagos must be preserved for future generation.
Lagos is open to business. Lagos is open to promote tourism. Lagos is open to showcase our art and our heritage, our culture. We're embedded with so much culture, and this is the time to show it. So we're going to create that enabling environment for all the businesses in Lagos to thrive, for collaborations, for people, for our young people to thrive. Because if you look around us, we have a demography of very, very young individuals who are waiting out there, seeking that for us to hold up that hand, and we're ready for them now.
On his part, Director General, National Commission for Museum and Monuments, Nigeria, Olubile Olowe, expressed the hope that the partnership would birth more global recognition for the country and Lagos. He observed that there are a lot of hidden treasures which the younger generation, which he referred to as Gen Z, did not know about the tourism heritage of the country.
The most important thing in this partnership is for us to, like I always say, begin to retell our stories. The National Museum itself is a national monument, and within that we have artifacts that go as far back as the 15th century. So these artifacts tell not just the Lagos State story, but the story of Nigeria. And by partnering with Lagos State, we can make the National Museum a tourist destination in a wider ecosystem of cultural tourism. Oniko itself is a cultural hub.
Managing Director of a New Generation Bank, Abubakar Suleiman, promised funding for investment in the tourism sector in Lagos with a view to making profits and attract more foreign investors to make Lagos a global tourist attraction in line with international standards.
To remind ourselves is that tourism is also a business. The way you grow tourism, the way you grow art and culture and the creative industry is to make sure that there is enough resources to invest. It's only when you've invested that you can then raise the standard so that people from all over the world can see and be willing to come here.
The partnership is ahead of World Tourism Day, which will be celebrated next week Friday with the theme, Tourism and Green Investments. And now to the rest of the stories. The federal government has activated flood control measures in response to the rising risk of natural disasters in the country, including the recent health tremors in Mbappe, a suburb of the Federal Capital Territory, and the looming threats of severe flooding in southern Nigeria. The government also called on state authorities to take immediate and proactive steps to safeguard communities vulnerable to these hazards. During a ministerial press briefing in Abuja, the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Naji, said residents of Mbappe, Abuja, experienced 6 to 8 tremors late at night, beginning around 11 p.m. on Tuesday. Naji emphasized that while the tremors were a cause for concern, the real threat facing Nigeria is the risk of widespread flooding in southern states, particularly as the rainy season continues. The Nigerian Air Force, NAF, has commenced the airlifting of election materials for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to Benin, Edo State. This comes ahead of the upcoming gubernatorial election scheduled for 21st of September. A statement by the Deputy Director of Public Relations and Information, NAF, Kabiru Ali, said the move is part of a broader effort to ensure timely and secure delivery of sensitive materials necessary for the smooth conduct of elections. Ali said the airlifting of the election materials also demonstrates the collaboration between NAF and INEC aimed at facilitating logistics and ensure a peaceful election process in Edo State. And now to foreign news. The United States Central Bank has cut interest rates by more than expected in its first reduction in over 4 years. The Federal Reserve said it would lower the target for its key lending rate by 0.5 percentage points to the range of 4.75 to 5%. The widely expected cut is bigger than many analysts had predicted just a week ago and comes as officials have noted increasing concern about rising unemployment rates. The move will bring relief to borrowers across the U.S. who have been contending with interest rates hovering at the highest levels in more than 2 decades. Meanwhile, officials have signaled that further cuts are likely to follow before the end of the year. Now sports. The Flying Eagles of Nigeria defeated Water FC of Abuja 1-0 in their first friendly game. Bayelsa United striker Rabiu Abdullahi scored a winning goal for the team. The players are preparing for the WAFU B Under-20 Championship, which will hold in Togo next month. They expect to play more friendly games ahead of the WAFU tournament. The WAFU Championship will decide the team that will represent the zone at the 2025 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations. And that's the news at 9. But just before we go, maintain adequate distance from the vehicle ahead of you to avoid collision. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms. X, Traffic Radio 961. Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. Subscribe and watch our news and programs live on YouTube at Traffic Radio 961. You can also visit our website, www.trafficradio961.ng. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration constructed watchtowers with alarm bells and perimeter fences in modern colleges? You can get more details on the Lagos State Government website. To end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says Lagos State's gross domestic product, GDP, under his administration has greatly increased in the last 5 years due to well-thought-out ideas and economic policies to enhance the well-being of residents. The federal government has activated flood control measures in response to the rising risk of natural disasters in the country, including the recent earth tremors in Mpape, a suburb of the Federal Capital Territory, and the looming threats of severe flooding in southern Nigeria. We also told you that the United States Central Bank has cut interest rates by more than expected in its first reduction in over 4 years. And in sports, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria has defeated Water FC of Abuja 1-0 in their first friendly game. For contact with the newsroom, send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. That ends the news broadcast compiled by Adewale Olowo-Koroku. I am John Omoaka. Thank you very much for listening.